I'm a firm believer in you owning your own destiny. But does luck have anything to do with success? I'm going to tell you in today's video and give you a clear example of how it works and how you can create your own luck. Let me tell you a quick story. So back in 2022, I was signed with Michigan Stars in Detroit. On paper, it looked perfect. Strong start, great preseason. Form was up, chemistry was really good. I was training super hard, showing up early every single day, being the last one to leave. Best version of myself to date. Coaches were also vibing with me quite a bit, and the teammates were awesome. But behind the scenes, it got really messy really fast. The management, unfortunately, didn't like that I had a side business, YouTube, brand deals, content, etc. They saw it as a threat for whatever reason. I was told that my presence on social media was a problem and that I couldn't use the facility for my videos, etc. And just like that, I was released. Not because of performance, not because of professionalism, just politics and opinions. Now I'm in Michigan in complete limbo, no team, no games, no guarantees, just a lot of time and one big question: what now? What I did in that moment made all of the difference. I locked in, doubled down on the process, on my business, and becoming the best footballer I could be. I trained every single day as if I was prepping for the Champions League final, believe it or not. Regardless of who was watching, spoiler alert, no one was. I built my YouTube harder than ever, trained like a madman, and pushed myself to stay mentally dialed in. That's also when I hired a sports psychologist for myself. I posted a video explaining what had happened and took full responsibility for my own actions, and I took extreme ownership. I pointed the finger inwards so that I have all the power, and I said, if I'm good enough, none of the business stuff will ever matter in the future. 2 months of grinding, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a DM. Michael Cunningham, 7MLC, who you all know, hits me up on Instagram. He liked the content, invited me to come train with him and film in Rochester, New York. We'd never spoken before this point, but he saw my release video and said he respected the work. And after that single message kicked off a chain of events that changed my career entirely. I was in Rochester later that week and I met Jordan Sullivan, then the assistant coach of Flower City, who would go on to become the head coach for our title-winning season in 2023. After a few training sessions, I got invited to a trial, showed up ready, and I got signed. So this does not happen without Michael's message, but even a step further than that, it doesn't happen if I wasn't prepared when the opportunity came and the willingness to follow up. So a big key theme for this is luck only helps the ready. Football is absolutely brutal. It's unfair. It's quite subjective in a lot of ways. It's a quote unquote game of opinions. As my agent once said, you might be twice as good as the next guy and still not get the contract, the minutes, or the opportunity. But the players who make it, they're the ones who stay ready all the time. They're the ones who also don't give up. You might have also heard the term war of attrition, which basically means it is the last one standing. The ones who stay in it the longest inevitably will get the most opportunities. The world loves to say, quote unquote, right place, right time. And although I do agree with it in some respects, what actually matters more is who you are when that moment arrives. If you're match fit, locked in mentally, sharp technically, and you've done the work to develop super real confidence, luck becomes an opportunity. But if you're inconsistent, distracted, lazy with your craft, luck becomes a total mischance. Luck doesn't even matter in that scenario. No one talks about all the footballers who weren't prepared for their big shot. They just praise the one who took advantage of them. I've seen so many players, this is actually ridiculous, so many who got handed an open door and absolutely blew it. Not because they weren't good enough. Most of them were way better than I ever was. It was because they weren't ready. They hadn't prepared. They weren't focused on their process. They were distracted with girls in most cases, or drugs or alcohol, and they weren't locked in. On the flip side, I've seen guys with half the natural talent absolutely dominate because they were obsessed with the details, because they always stayed humble and hungry, and when the moment came, they absolutely crushed it. I would actually put myself in that category. I'm not overly talented as a footballer compared to a lot of other guys that I played with, but I was always hungry, I was always prepared, and I put absolutely all of my energy into getting to that next level, whether it was with my nutrition, with my play on the pitch, with the team and my teammates, being a good teammate, being a good friend, being really coachable, working on my mental game outside of the pitch, and networking as best I could while I was in the game. As I also mentioned in last week's video, confidence comes from competence or preparation. So I want to break down this little myth here. Confidence doesn't come from somebody telling you you're amazing 100 times. It comes from you knowing deep in your heart and your soul or your mind, whichever one you want to consider, that you've actually done the reps. You can't fake that kind of trust in yourself. In some respects, I believe you can fake it till you make it, so to speak. But as you tell yourself, you're going to reinforce that in your brain and it's going to become true over time. You build it through consistent work or consistent repetition over in your brain. Practicing your weak foot when no one's watching, nailing that first touch under pressure, running the same movement patterns over and over again, watching tape, asking questions, leveling up. All those things are incredibly important and will make you more confident over time. Confidence is also earned, not gifted. And it's not always about succeeding, it's about preparing. Even in those 2 months of isolation in Michigan, when everything looked super bleak, I was building competence. I was training with intensity, filming with intensity, and sharpening both my physical game and my mental game. And when the lucky moment arrived, Michael DM'd me. I wasn't guessing. I knew I could take that opportunity, and it happened literally overnight. So a piece of advice, stop waiting for permission to feel confident. Earn it through repetition. So what's really the thesis around luck? There's an element of privilege, timing, chance in every career, mine included. I was lucky that Michael messaged me. I was lucky that Jordan was in that particular session playing with us. I was lucky to get a second shot. But staying in that opportunity, making the most of it, that wasn't luck, that was preparation. So here's the truth, and I want you to take this piece home. Success isn't guaranteed by preparation, but without it, success is impossible. Your job is to train like the opportunity has already been scheduled, to improve like the contract has already been printed and signed, and to build confidence through competence so that lucky break does come, you're ready to take it and never look back. Another fantastic example of this is actually my Instagram and my YouTube. People say, wow, you're so lucky to have 100,000 followers on Instagram, or you're lucky to have 50,000 plus on YouTube, and you're lucky to have all these things. All of this came from relentless work ethic and intelligent work ethic and putting in the reps over and over and over again over the course of the last 5.5 years. It doesn't come overnight. However, when a big brand does come to me that I've never actually messaged before and they say, hey, do you want an opportunity? I go, yeah, absolutely. I've been preparing for this for 5.5 years, and I have the confidence to, if they say, hey, we need you to film a video, I can do it like a conversation like I'm doing right now with you guys, and it be super, super comfortable because I've put in those reps and that luck just happened to fall into my lap and I took that opportunity. So remember, success isn't guaranteed by preparation, but without it, success is impossible. See you guys in the next video.